Technology's temptation. It sounds a little more lascivious than it actually is. What I'm talking about here is finding truth in the digital world. What does that mean? What I see a lot in my classes is I see students who want information quickly. Students have term papers to write. Students have research to do. And the temptation, now that we have digital, is to grab whatever comes up, take it, and run with it. But as we're going to see, that doesn't really mean that what you're getting on the internet is the truth. The temptation starts because what we have now is a fast society. We have fast news, we have fast cars, we have fast food, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Snapchat. All these ways to deliver information in bite-sized chunks. There's actually evidence mounting that our brains are being rewired by this technology. Ding! 8 seconds. 8 seconds is now the average attention span of a human. That's less than a goldfish. I'm not kidding. 8 seconds is what we're used to having to pay attention to. So it's becoming increasingly difficult for students to do research as it needs to be done. With all this technology, some of which I'm using here, with all this technology at our fingertips, we have more information available than has ever been available in the history of humankind. However, it doesn't mean that all that information is valid or should be used. Most of it is there for entertainment purposes or increasingly as an ad. This is how I used to have to do my research. When I was a graduate student, I would spend about 6 hours a day in the library with card catalogs. Now, there's an interesting thing that happens when you deal with card catalogs. Card catalogs are a really, really slow process. You have to open them, you have to go through them, you have to figure out, first of all, in advance what you're looking for, because it's not going to help you. There's no way to really search this except by hand. So you would go through one by one and see, I need this author, and you'd search for everything about that author, and it would take you a while. And you'd mark down on a piece of paper what you need to find in the library stacks, then you'd go back and you'd look through other card catalogs, maybe for subject matter. It would take a real long time. But the beauty of this is that the brain is geared for that type of absorption. The brain really learns when it's exposed to something for a long period of time. So by the end of this, with a month or two of doing this every single day, you really start to know a lot about your topic. Because you've had time to sit with it and had time to absorb it. There isn't that temptation in this world to grab stuff quickly. Well, we're not in that world anymore, unfortunately. The world we're in is completely different than when I was doing my graduate work. In 1985, it saw the beginning of what we know as the internet. That was when the first website was created. One website. There was no World Wide Web. That wouldn't come till almost 10 years later. But the first website was established then. But by 1995, there were tens of thousands of websites that had popped up. By 2005, 10 years later, there were over 60 million websites. And now, it's getting a little ridiculous. It's logarithmically increasing, so that now we have just crossed this threshold, ladies and gentlemen, of 1 billion websites out there. And if you collectively look at the number of pages they have, you're talking about over 1 trillion pages of information. How in the name of God do you get through all that? So if you're looking for information, where do you start? Again, the temptation is to grab stuff quickly because you're in a hurry. So let's look at some of the ways you can access information. Well, the first one, of course, is the Google. Everybody wants to do the Google because it's so quick. So you see, up here I just said 374 million results came in when I asked, what is the truth? Well, how does Google work? Google's really interesting. The way it finds your responses is it finds websites around those search terms that have lots of links going to them. In other words, like if we look at what is thetruth.com, okay, that matches what I put in there. But it looks at what is thetruth.com and how many other people are linking to that. So it ranks based on popularity. Not always a good source of the truth, but it's a good place to start. Google also has done something very interesting recently. It decided to rejigger its search algorithms to favor websites that are mobile friendly. So if there is a website out there that has a lot of really good information about what is the truth, but it is not formatted to fit a mobile screen, it's going to drop to the bottom of the rankings. But what Google does do, what you can use it for, is this linking thing. So say you click on what is truth, and you go to that site. Well, it's going to have other links there. You click on those, and you keep digging deeper into these links. Google is really great to get you started on finding the connections, finding the links, which eventually will bring you to the information you want, the information that is real. What's another good source? Everybody goes to Wikipedia. What's a wiki? Well, a wiki, it's a great idea. It's a really democratic idea. A wiki is a database that's changeable by anyone. So the idea behind Wikipedia was very noble. The idea was to get as many contributors as possible to create this global encyclopedia that would have all the information of the world in it. Well, there are a few problems with this. The main problem is that it is editable by anyone. You don't have to register with Wikipedia. You can just go in and you can edit anything. This becomes really noticeable, say, at election time, when there are big political candidates out there, and one party will go in and to the other candidate's party website, and they're going to change all the facts on there to make the candidate look like a white beater and a child molester and all this. And then the other party goes in and changes the other website, and it becomes this turf war thing. So you're not getting truthful information. What you're getting is almost like kids going, yeah, 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 yeah. And again, because nobody has to be responsible for this information, it's so easy to change that you don't know if you're getting the truth or not. I'll give you an example. Ooh, look, there I am. I created a wiki about myself. You're not supposed to do that. This is in what's called Sandbox. It's a little sort of training area for Wikipedia. They usually will take this stuff down. If they find that a user has created their own website about themselves, they don't like that. But I have all this information, biographical information about myself up there. How do you know if it's true or not? It's just my word against yours. But you notice this little edit button, and notice I'm not logged in. It says create an account, log in, so I'm not logged in. I'm just going to tap this edit button and watch what happens. Ooh, interesting. Notice this big yellow box. It says, due to persistent vandalism, anonymous editing from your school, library, or educational institution's IP address, it's blocked. What that means is that at this particular lovely campus, people have been hammering on Wikipedia's site anonymously trying to change information on the wikis. And so what Wikipedia has done is it simply said, no, you're blocked. We're not going to let you do that anymore. So if you're on this particular campus's website and you're trying to change information, you actually have to log in. So that's one little stopgap they put in there, but there's a problem with that. Because there is a browser, or a couple of browsers, one called Tor, that anonymizes your IP address. So you could literally go in to this website, and if you're using Tor, it's going to mix up the IP address, so you still can go ahead and edit it, and you can do that as many times as you want. Nobody's going to know. So, Google is good, but it's a good place to start. Again, you have no idea. Google also, remember, is in the business of delivering ads. That's how they make their money. So, of course, ads will always rise to the top as well. So it's a good place to start. You want to follow the links there. Wikipedia, again, same thing. You don't know if anything's really factual there, so it's a good place to start and get some data. Well, where do you go online for good factual information? Well, another place to look at is here. An EDU site. EDU sites are created by colleges, educational institutions. And they usually have a research section of their website where they're posting vetted research. So this is stuff that they're doing that is pretty factual, or it wouldn't be up on their website. So if you're looking for specific types of information, these websites, which they always have searchable databases, these websites are a good place to look for truthful information. Well, remember, this isn't really easy to do. This isn't giving it to you instantaneously. Like everything else, it takes a little bit of work, but then you're going to have much better research when you do it. Another good place to look for good information, too, of course, is TED Talks. TED Talks has lots of vetted researchers out there who are presenting good information. So there are sites, educational sites, that are there to help you do your research and do it well, as opposed to falling into the temptation of just grabbing information and spitting it out as if it's true. Chances are, if it's on the web, it's a lie. So, 3 simple steps. 3 simple steps is all you need. First, you do a search, a cursory search. That's going to allow you to then, and remember, there's more than one web search engine out there. So you can use multiple search engines and you'll find different results. So you do your search, but then follow the links. Find the connections and follow them from one place to another. And eventually what you're going to be able to do is corroborate. In other words, you're going to be able to compare the data and find out what's true or not. Eventually you'll find that a lot of websites say the exact same thing about a topic, and then you pretty much know you're onto something. That maybe if everybody is saying it, probably true. Though not necessarily. Happy hunting. Thank you.